Welcome back, race fans, to another episode of Off the Track Podcast, where you get the dirt. I'm Levi Regazzi, and we are here at Blue Chip Technologies Racing Engines, and we are located down here in Heltonville, Indiana. Today, we've got joining us on the show, Trent Niflis. Welcome, Trent.
Hello, Levi.
We appreciate you stopping by today.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we've been trying to get you over here for a little bit.
Yeah, I've drug my feet a little, but I'm here.
That's cool. We understand. We've, been anxious to get you on the show and just kind of tell your story.
Well, I will see what we come up with here.
There you go. So, me growing up as a kid, I always remember, for one, there's been nobody else ever touched our cars unless it was a Niflis. And growing up, Grandpa, his cars always went to your dad. And I know he's told me stories about you being a little kid and your dad setting you up on the roof of the car. Yep. And you would start hand lettering these cars back in the day.
That's where I got my start, because he was pretty old to have me, and he would draw out the number on the roof and set me up there and let me paint the roof number. You didn't see it as much as the side, so he would come back and do the outline and clean it all up. But that's where I very first learned to use a brush at all, was doing the roofs. And I couldn't tell you exactly how old, but pretty young when I started doing that.
Yeah. Most kids start out with a coloring book.
Well, I did that too.
And you got to try to stay in the lines.
From the time I could pick up a crayon.
Yeah.
For sure. I was always drawing, and it was usually race cars. So
yeah,
I was always drawing.
Well, we all know your dad was an artist, and luckily you've picked that talent up from him and have done some amazing artwork over the years.
Appreciate that.
Whether it was a car, a T-shirt, side of a truck or trailer, signs on the side of the roads, and businesses you've done work for, and I mean the list goes on and on and on. And then
done a lot of all that.
Yeah, exactly. So
I tell you, the very, very first car I ever lettered by myself was Ray Gotzi's.
Yeah,
I was 12
years old, and it was all hand.
That's the one I did by myself.
It was all hand painted.
There was no such thing as a computer.
Exactly. Yeah, it was, always cool coming down to your shop and seeing all the T-shirt designs on the walls and just pictures of cars that you'd done. And, I mean, you've done work for everybody, it seems like. It's a huge list.
Most everybody.
I mean, there's no way you could sit here and name off everybody you've worked for.
I couldn't even begin to touch a percentage of it.
It's anything from IndyCar stuff to dirt cars to probably
drag cars,
mudslinging like trucks.
And lettered them and done shirts,
yeah,
trucks.
It's such a wide variety of racing, so it's pretty cool. And then growing up, being around lettering all that stuff, and then one day you just decide, hey, you know what, it's my time, I'm gonna jump in a seat.
Of course, I always wanted to.
Right.
I wasn't around that end of it when I was a kid. I was around watching my dad letter the cars. They brought the cars in, and that was what we did on Saturday nights. We went to the racetrack.
Yeah.
And those were my heroes.
Right.
I remember Kenny Simpson for sure. When I was a little kid, before I can even remember. He was my hero, and Jim Curry when he drove the Claude Kern 75 car back then.
Right.
And speaking of that, I just got to do a cool project with Jamie Wilson.
Yeah.
He's a grandson of Jim Curry.
Right.
And I just completed a tribute shirt for Jim that they're getting ready to print and come out with. It's going to be really cool.
That'd be great. So, we've spoke to Jim about coming on the show.
I'd like to see him come in here.
He's going to do it. He just wants to make sure the timing's right.
Yeah. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, exactly. So he's
I always knew he was a great racer, and of course he was a hero of mine from way back.
Yeah.
But
I didn't
realize all of his accomplishments until I got to do the shirt. And 521 late model feature wins says a lot.
That's huge. Right.
That says a lot. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, so. Growing up around Brownstown, I always remember seeing him there. And even whenever you watch people throw pictures up on like Indiana Dirt Legends and stuff like that, you see all the different drivers on there and the old late model Facebook pages. It's really neat to be able to see the them guys back in their prime.
I like that page. It's been cool. But every other day they throw up a picture of a car I hand lettered that I may have forgotten about.
Yeah, I
get
bet.
to see a lot of my old stuff when it was still new and shiny.
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah.
It's pretty neat.
That was when cars were actually, you know, in my opinion, you know, there's something about a still body car
Absolutely.
that just looking at photos of them. I mean, very
they weren't necessarily that fun to letter, as far as some of them were a little rough. But,
oh yeah.
But
I can only imagine.
as far as the cars go, there was a very cool time.
Yeah, and you know, it's neat that I'm able, you know, to remember what all I do as far as being young in the 80s. I mean, I was just a little kid, but the late models Grandpa was racing then. I mean, the paint jobs you guys would do were so smooth, you wouldn't know that it wasn't like a sticker on the side of it. I mean, it was amazing. But
I mean, today you got used to a whole different look with lots and lots of graphics, 5 different colors of outlines on numbers and stuff. You really couldn't duplicate that with paint now.
Right.
But for the day, I guess it was good enough.
Yeah.
You know, you pretty much had one color with an outline and maybe a little airbrushing.
Right.
That was the extent of it. But
so, you know, as time rolled on there, at what age were you whenever you decided you was going to jump in the seat?
Well, I got a go-kart. I raced that for most of a year. I think I've got I bought a car off Tony Gotzi, actually.
Yeah.
That's where I started. I bought a turnkey bomber from Tony.
There you go.
$2,000. I paid him half of it, took it to Brownstown and totaled it.
Yeah. It's easy
Then I had
to
to
do.
come up the other half. But that was my start. That was 95.
95.
Actually, I raced a full season in 95, so I was probably 94. I was
Yeah.
somewhere right in there.
So probably a bomber.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you guys probably ran Brownstown, Lagodi, places
Well, I
like
didn't.
that.
I only ran
or-
one time because
Yeah.
I totaled it.
Okay.
We had to peel the motor back out of the firewall, but
So it was a nasty.
I hit it real good.
Yeah.
But
Hit the
then,
wall?
No, I spun out down to the track and got clobbered by someone in the front end.
Yeah.
Then Edgar,
Yeah.
which I wanted to mention Edgar. He was going to give me a helicopter ride here tonight, but
Right.
since it's broke down, I had to walk from Judah.
That's bull
So
stuff.
thanks for Judy. Thanks to you, Edgar, for that. But anyway, Edgar helped me tremendously. That we went and got some kind of a Chevelle or whatever it was, a Cutlass or something, you know, and took that motor out, cut the cage out of it, and did it at your papa's Quonset hut.
Yeah.
So that
Okay.
was then my first full year.
Yeah.
After we did that, David cut the cage out, put it down in that car. We swapped the motor out. But then it was literally a stock car.
Yeah.
Other than it had 4 aftermarket springs in it. But literally, it had a 350 transmission with a
Yeah.
torque converter. And
Yeah, they kind of started really taking a turn in the late 90s, it seemed like, and then early 2000s.
But that was the best time.
It
We
really changed.
I feel I'm just very fortunate I got to race when I did. Because
Well, you dabbled with
Today.
that for a little while, and then
raced bombers for a couple of years. Then I wanted a street stock. I thought I was really good.
yeah.
I wasn't that good. I thought I was pretty good.
Well,
Anyway, I got me a street stock, and I did that for a year and didn't do very good, and actually sold that and bought a boat.
yeah.
I didn't like that. No, that was just more headache than the car. Less fun.
Yeah.
And anyway, I ended up driving for Lee.
Well, you didn't total the boat, though.
I did not total the
First
boat.
night out.
No.
So,
no.
okay.
But if you break down to the middle of the lake, it's a long paddle.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been there.
Yeah.
So, you guys, after you jumped into super stocks, I mean, what year are you thinking then?
I raced bombers for 2 years.
So, still in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Then, like I said, I had my own street stock there for a year. And was in over my head a little bit. I built a big fast motor, and it was harder to control, and the car was faster, and I didn't do very good, and I wrecked a lot.
Right.
Got all frustrated and threw my hands up, said I'm done, blah, blah, blah. You know the routine.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. When you race, you quit like at least 5 or 6 times a year.
Yeah, yeah. I've quit a couple times.
It can get so frustrating. There's so many highs and lows. It's probably one of the things that most guys that are racing, they take it really serious, and it's you just take it to heart, I guess.
Yeah,
and,
sometimes too much,
Yeah.
way too much. You got to realize
Right.
it's supposed
it's
to be
supposed
for
to
fun.
be for fun.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's supposed to be.
And
for
then it
fun.
turns into a job.
Can
You constantly want to improve yourself and be faster and faster.
Can't blame no one for that.
Yeah.
But try to keep it fun.
But for the most part,
And the more expensive it gets, the a lot more harder it is to keep it fun.
right.
Especially for me. I've just at this point, I would love to go out there and drive on a Saturday night, but all the work and the money and everything goes into it. I've had my time and I'm done with that, and I don't long for it. You know what I mean? I'm very satisfied just to go watch and drink beer with my buddies and
Right.
watch everybody else spend their money and tear their stuff up.
Yeah. Well, you guys, I know at some point, Kenny come into play there with the.
Oh, that we had a great. I quit there for 7 years. I quit racing, got Kenny to go kart, and he was really good right away.
Yeah.
To the point that I lost interest in my own racing really quick.
Right.
And then we did our thing for a while there, and had some probably the best times I've ever had in racing when we were racing mini sprints.
Right.
That was super fun. Super fun. He was really, really good and just a natural driver. And we won a lot of races and won a lot of unexpected races against people that had a lot better stuff. And it's just a good time.
Right. Yeah, I know. Everybody was pretty hyped up about his performance.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was constantly, hey, did you hear? Kenny got him a win, and
pretty impressive.
he was doing really well.
Yeah.
And you guys played with those things for sounds like a good
2 years on the mini sprints was all we did. Go karts a couple years, mini sprints a couple years, and did the sprint car.
Went to the actual. That was the open 410 class, right?
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Well, on a super low budget.
Yeah,
extremely low.
And that's tough to do in that division.
Only won one race, but it was the biggest race they have at Bloomington.
Yeah.
So if you're only going to win one, win the biggest one, right?
Right, exactly. That's awesome. Well, and then later you decide, hey, I'm going to get back into super stocks.
Yeah, got back into super stocks for a while and bought a car off of Greg Kendall that Lee had built him new, and he barely put a few laps on the car, and then got a crate car, and it had set for a couple of years, and I bought that, and I raced that the whole rest of the time that I did any driving. And that was the same car I ran the entire time.
Right, and won a lot of races.
I won more from there after than I did before.
Yeah,
and it was a different attitude. I didn't have the pressure that I felt. Not that Lee ever put pressure on me, but I put it on myself, and I just had a whole different relaxed attitude when I had quit and started doing it again.
So relaxed.
And I never was I didn't kick ass all over the state of Indiana, but I was pretty damn good at Paragon.
You done good.
I was pretty darn good at Paragon. I was hard to beat at Paragon, and I could hold my own some other places, and I sucked terribly at Brownstown. But that was
Brownstown,
my legacy.
It's tough.
It just never fit me. It just never fit me very well.
And then
I think I got fourth in points there once when I was driving for Lee in the street stocks. I mean, that's not terrible, but I never could win a race.
I almost forgot about when you guys had cars that looked pretty similar.
Oh yeah, And at one time, which Lee talked about when he was here, but me, Lee, and Brad, all three drove for Lee and had 3 cars going.
Yep, that's right. I remember that. Good looking cars too.
Yeah.
Which all of you guys have all had, really good looking cars over the years, back in the day and still today. But and you and Lee have been friends for goodness. I mean, me growing up, it was almost like you guys were like uncles. I mean, so many guys at Brownstown just seemed like family. Yeah. But when you spend all your weekends at the racetrack as a child growing up, it's Well, I didn't know Lee very well. When I first had my first bomber, of course, like I said, Edgar, I guess you could say he built it. He really cut a cage off another car, but he more or less built the car. Yeah. I don't know who built. Tony probably put the cage in that car, more than likely. I don't know. Obviously, I think it was
think that car belonged to Brett Davis at one time.
Is that right?
Yeah, so you know how the
Yep.
comes around, goes around.
Right.
But Lee kind of took me under his wing there somewhat of the first year. He thought I was pretty good, I guess. I was doing pretty good. I did win a feature my first year with that simple car, you know. And then the next year he built me, we built a brand new bomber that Lee built. I won the very first night in it and won quite a few races that year.
Yeah.
I did have one, I felt like in the bag at Brownstown and blew a tire leading way out front, and the bomber still haunts me, you know?
Yeah.
Those things still haunt you years and years and years later.
That's right.
It's like that fish that got away. Got away, it's gone.
Yeah. It's hard to forget those races where you feel like you hadn't won and
I've done
something
that a few times.
small happens.
Or spin out leading. I've done that by yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest ones.
Yeah, I can imagine. Spinning out, period.
It's never fun.
It's never fun, yeah.
Never fun,
especially when it's in front of a field of cars.
If you're in front of a field of cars leading the race and really nobody was putting pressure on you and you spin out, that's not a good day.
Right. Hey, you must have just been pushing it a little hard.
Yeah.
But, I mean, over all the years that you and I ran against each other there in the later days of your super stock division, you were definitely tough to track down at Paragon.
I had a good...
I mean, you had something figured out at Paragon.
But I wasn't doing what a lot of people thought I was doing, which was something really... It wasn't nothing mechanically trick necessarily.
Just don't wash the car.
Well, that's right. I mean, rust works just as good as Loctite.
Mm-hmm. That's true. It does. Yeah, we'd come over and your car would still be sitting there just like it left the track, and I'd be like, man, I've got like 40, 50 hours in mine.
You worked harder than anybody ever saw, that's for sure. If I had to do that much work, I was quitting.
Yeah, we joke about that all the time.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'd come out to your shop and you'd have lists and the car all tore down. Like, man, what are you doing? Are you going to be ready for tomorrow? I was like, yeah, it's still in the trailer, man.
All right, we're ready. And you'd go and make it look easy.
It was kind of easy there for a minute.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. That track always fit me.
Yeah.
When I had my first bomber, I remember going to Paragon, and I remember I can remember as distinctively being out there, and like I think I passed him, but I know I was running right there with Adam Sasser.
Yeah.
I thought, man.
Oh yeah.
I must be pretty fast.
Right.
I mean, I was good there right away, and I could keep up and be competitive there.
Yeah.
Where other places it took me a little longer. Some places I never got it.
Right. Speaking of Adam Sasser, he needs to come see me.
Yes, he does.
I've talked to him, and him and Zach both are going to stop by sometime. Yeah. But Adam, he was always a great driver and very smooth.
Oh yeah,
and
he's another. He seems like he sits out 2 or 3 years and brings a car out, and he's right up there. You know what I mean? Right. He's not just floundering around. He can jump back in and be competitive right away. So he's always been a good driver.
That's true. And his son has done a remarkable
he's really coming
job.
Along, a really good kid.
Yeah.
He'll make a good race car driver.
Yeah, it's always good to see father, I guess, kind of get older, and then the son kind of steps in and plays that role, and then see them get to make those memories together at the track. No different than you and Kenny,
right.
And me and my dad. And it's nice to meet the guys though that get their start, and nobody in their family ever raced, and they just one time went to a racetrack and was just hanging out.
It does seem like it definitely runs in families.
It does, absolutely.
I guess it did for me to Kenny. My dad was in racing just because he lettered race cars, and it made me be around it. It made me fall in love with it.
Right.
But it didn't really get me on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I can definitely attribute that to Kenny Simpson and Gene Dalton.
Yep.
Starting off for sure. It was my dad. There when I lettered your papa's car when I was 12, my dad used to letter everyone's car around, and he had a couple strokes, got ill, and where he couldn't work anymore. And I remember Ray, I was like, I just piddled around with the brushes. You know what I mean? I hadn't done it that much.
Yeah.
And Ray talked, just come over and letter it. It'll be fine, whatever it is. I'll tear it off there in a couple of weeks. It'll be fine. So I did, and that's, honest to God, that's
kind of where it took
off. I kind
off.
of thank him because I have made a living of it my entire life.
Yeah.
So
And you've
I have some sort of artwork.
done a great job. I mean, making a living at it. As far as everybody that I've ever talked to that you've done work for is always happy with their product.
I don't have too many unsatisfied customers. Every once in a while you have to change some stuff or you misspell something.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I've never had any issues.
Yeah.
I mean,
I probably misspelled something. You just didn't notice it.
Yeah, maybe, but I can't spell. So
there you go. You're my favorite kind of customer.
Yeah, I've always struggled with spelling.
I'm pretty decent at spelling. I'm just not so good at typing, especially when I get in a hurry.
I can't do either. So, but yeah, it's always like I said, been really neat back whenever I was growing up around your shop down there in town. You know, being able to see all the designs that you guys would do, and it was really cool. You know, and then growing up around the track, you know, like I'm sitting here thinking like whenever I was pretty young, but I remember. You know, you guys come down there and park by us. We always park down by the scales as far as the Gotzi's. Yep. There'd be, 4 or 5 cars there, and then you guys would be right over there, and, you'd have your crew of guys that would hang out with you. And I remember Kenny sitting over there playing.
There'd be Kenny on the trailer playing with these little cars.
Right, exactly. And then, we've got to bring up Scooby, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I honestly, I never want to race that Scoob wasn't not only there with me, but he probably did more work that night than I did.
Yeah.
The guy was a great friend, literally a brother, and so sad we lost him so early.
Right.
It's a shame.
Yeah, I was actually in here the night that when I stepped out that door at the time, we didn't have a phone booster, and you were the first person I heard it from. And I was surprised, and
it's a shame.
Just
hate to hear it. We're missing.
Had to bring it up,
Of course.
I
mean, you can't I can't talk about my racing without talking about Scooby. He worked his ass off on my race cars.
He was just such a happy guy, and I'd look over at him, he'd just be smiling, just
he loved it.
Absolutely. He was, in my opinion, the most diehard race fan.
He probably loved it more than anybody I know. Because he did all the dirty work and got none of the glory.
Right.
Yep. I got the glory when I did good.
Yeah.
I was mad when I did bad.
Mm-hmm.
And Scooby was there putting up the tools either way and helping me. And
that's right.
Doing the dirty work.
Right. Yeah. And, anybody that's ever met him just knows how great of a guy he was. So
he's got friends it's far and wide, that's for sure.
Right. And, so you guys would show up at the track. Kenny be over playing with the Hot Wheels. And then, Scoob be over there wiping the car down and making sure it looked good before it rode out.
Good. And it would look good again before we went out for the feature.
Right.
For sure.
I'm trying to think of who all else has helped you over the years, though. Scoob always sticks out in my head.
Honestly, he's the main one.
Yeah.
He's really the main steadfast person that was.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, Lee.
Yep.
Lee helped me more than I could say.
Yep.
And as far as what I know about racing, between Lee Hobbs, Gene Dalton, those guys, I did learn a lot from Gino being a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be on a pit crew, like I said, when my dad got sick. Kenny Simpson was a good, real good personal friend of my dad's.
Yeah.
And he started coming around and would pick me up and take me to the races.
Yeah.
Because my dad was incapacitated and couldn't do a lot.
So you were
I started going to the race.
Young then.
I was real young. Yeah. It was before I started way before I started learning cars.
Okay. So you had
honestly,
to be probably younger than 10.
I'm 9 or 10 years old.
Yep.
And took me to my first trip to Eldora. Kenny Simpson did.
That's awesome. There's not too many people who can say that.
No, and it was like 82. The last year of the wedge cars was my first trip to Eldora.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's
I've
cool.
seen some evolution over there. For
That's
sure.
right.
Very cool.
No doubt about
Very cool. I mean, back then the cars were big and the trailers were small.
Oh my gosh, it was just
now
nuts, right?
Cars are small and the trailers are
exactly
huge. But it was cool.
Yeah, looking back at the old photos, like Jeff Purvis, these guys that their cars, like where their windows looked like they were about you'd have to literally climb in from the top. Or
I think Russ had one that was he was almost under it, and then Charlie Swartz built the one car you were totally under it. It was a front engine, a rear engine car.
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of a cool time, but it was kind of Formula One, as far as technology was out of the box. I mean, it was kind of getting insane.
It was getting
which is
way out of
insane
control.
now, but it was like, how big, you can't make the car so wide that two cars can't run side by side, so they had to do something.
Yeah, or you can't transport it to the track.
Right.
That's my big question,
Well, I've seen your papa build cars in the garage that he had to take them back apart to get them out of the garage.
Yeah.
Then to get them on the trailer.
I've always wondered about that.
Yeah.
It's like you see these Lexan sides that are
and you don't realize how wide the things are.
Oh, yeah.
They were crazy wide.
Huge. I mean, it's like growing up when you're a little kid, everything seems big when you're little, And then nowadays, I'll get out old photos and look, and I'm like, man, them things were just insane. I mean, top of that Lexan had to be like 12 foot tall on some of those cars.
And your papa says they're the best thing you ever drove.
That's crazy.
He still says it.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably
honestly,
go in the corner and
just
smoke the wall.
They were speed demons, but a lot better racing today.
Yeah. So as far as hanging out with Kenny, you got any good old stories?
Kenny Simpson?
Yeah.
Gosh. Honestly, I didn't get to hang out enough with him because he passed away. Him and Gene.
Yeah.
He took me to Eldora that year, and what did he win the Jackson 84? Is that right? I was around him there for a couple of years, and I started going to the track. That's why I started helping on the car, which I knew nothing of mechanics of race cars. I was a sign painter's son.
Right.
I was never been around it, so I started going. I started helping change the tires, doing this, doing that. Fell in with Gino. Kenny passed away.
Yeah.
Again, way, way too young. And I just kind of, after that, me and Gino had become great friends. And now I've got a lot of Gino stories. I'm not sure I would have to. I'm not sure what ones are G-rated but no.
Right.
Really, I mean, man, that guy, oh my gosh. I mean, like when you've been out on summer nationals, you're down to your last piece of floating bologna in the cooler.
Yeah.
And Gino hollers, make me a sandwich. There's only one piece left. It's floating. That's all right. Well, it's kind of green. That's okay. Put some chips on it.
Right.
So yeah, gosh dang. We had a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, the cooler days,
I mean, I've been everywhere through. I've been to West Virginia. I've been to Kentucky. I've been to Springfield Mile. Lots and lots of places with them guys. Back in those days when the cars were real simple, it wasn't like today. You didn't have to be an engineer to change a shock on it.
Right.
They were, a matter of fact, the car that Kenny won, that was a leaf spring car.
Yeah.
That Kenny won the Jackson 100 in. It was a monoleaf with a coil assist.
Mm-hmm.
Very low tech.
Right.
Very low tech. But I learned the basics.
Oh, yeah.
I learned so much from Gene. He was a smart man in his, during that time, he was a sought after.
I don't know.
Sought after person as far as setups goes, and he was well known to be a great.
He must have made a huge impact in racing because I see pictures of him all the time on social media, and I've always known why he ran 96. Because of him. Yeah. But I'm not sure how young of a man he was when he passed.
I'm not sure the exact age. He wasn't 60. I don't believe. I think he was still in his late 50s.
Is that right?
Way too young.
I've never even thought to ask that question.
Man, we had a lot of fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We had so much fun.
Well, he definitely made a big impact. In your life.
My son's named after Kenny Simpson.
Right.
And my race car's numbered after Gene Dalton's cars. So
yeah.
They definitely had a big impact.
What number did Kenny always run?
Well, he's drove for everyone.
Yeah. So
I don't know a car that belonged to him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He drove for Gene a lot in a 96 or a 96X. At one time, him and Ira Baston both drove for Gene. They had a 96 and a 96X. There's been he drove for Bill Chapman. They had pavement cars. I saw the car 61 that he drove.
Is that right?
Different 61 cars he drove.
Yeah.
He drove sprint cars back before my time that I didn't realize I've seen pictures of.
Right. That's cool.
He was an awesome
Well, I knew Kenny when he was running sprints 01.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He just
came up with that.
Cool.
Yeah. At the time, I drove for Lee, so I was 0.
Oh, okay.
So he was 0 plus a little better.
There you go.
Just one better.
Well,
and no one had it at the time, so it's like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There you go. Well, it looked good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good number. I don't guess there is a bad number on a race
Not
car,
really.
right?
Not
I
really.
can't think of any.
Yeah.
I just like always hearing people's stories on how they run their
Yeah.
number, how they
Yeah.
come up with it, or if it was an
I
uncle's
guess
or a
I've
dad.
only ever
or-
been 96 or 0. That
Yeah.
was it.
That's all I
Pretty
can
much
think
it.
of, really. I can't think of
I
a
mean,
time.
I drove a sprint car one time. Well, I drove a sprint car a few times when Kevin Briscoe had
the
his driving school.
Yeah.
I would go help him
I
flag.
thought you guys did that.
I'd go help him flag or something, and they'd let me get out there and race around afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty good, right?
Right.
Slick. It was all dusty slick. So Richard took one of the school cars and took me to Brownstown,
Yeah.
and I was going to drive a sprint car, right? I hadn't even raced a stock car yet. I'd only raced go-karts.
Wow.
Yeah. But I thought I was pretty good because I was pretty good at Bloomington on the slick. I'd get up there and pedal it and usually beat most everybody
Yeah.
on time. Then we went to Brownstown because they figured it was going to be typical Brownstown, slick and hard as this table. You know, we get out there, it's a muddy mess. It's a muddy mess. I remember going out there for hot laps, and I was right beside Randy Kinzer whenever they dropped the green
Really?
for hot laps,
Okay.
and he stood on the gas. Hit me in the head with about 20 pounds of mud. I never even got on the gas in hot laps because I
Right.
couldn't even get my shield clean.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a big difference in
Oh,
tacky,
yeah.
but I did do it once. I drove modifieds a couple times. It was so far back that
Yeah.
they were stack leaf cars.
Yeah.
That far
I
back.
did not
I
know
drove
that.
one of these once, and I drove Brian Slinker's.
Mm-hmm.
He had that 58 black modified. I think it was probably one of the Gottsi's cars that he bought
Probably.
back then.
Yeah.
And I drove it once. The first time I ever drove it, I won a heat race at Bloomington. Then
Wow.
got in everybody's way in the feature.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's better than some guys' stories. I mean,
Yeah.
At least it didn't go like it did with your first night out in a bomber. You know,
Right.
You
Or
just-
Kenny's first night in a sprint car.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Well, not really not good.
No, was
Well,
that the big nasty?
The very first night, he drove one of Brady's backup cars.
Okay.
Like the second lap of hot laps, he's carrying a wheelie all the way halfway through the corner down the Breakfast, and Don come over there and said, "You better calm him down." Kenny was used to driving that mini sprint, and he drove it with
Yeah.
the front wheels off the ground most of the time.
Right.
But everything went fine that night. And then we got our own put together. And the very first night, he flipped off the end of the track, set a new distance record, went out all the way to the ditch. You know,
Oh, okay. That was the one. in
destroyed
Bloomington.
it.
Yeah,
And
I've seen it.
Spent the next 2 hours taped down to a backboard getting X-rayed. But fortunately, he was fine.
Yeah. That's one
It was a
thing
bad
I've got to
experience.
say. These guys in these sprint cars, I mean, when they strap in, I mean, they're just hammered down, wheel stands, like you said, and just
Well, it's
hauling
a
the
different
mail.
animal. It's
It's
a different animal. I
crazy.
can tell you, having drove one with the wing, it was the closest thing I've ever done to riding a bull, and I
Yeah.
don't ever intend to do that again either. So. But you just got to get the feel of it. I didn't know which way it was going to go in the tacky. After
Yeah.
being used to it in the slick, where you're not
Right.
all locked to the ground. On
Uh-huh.
tacky, it was a beast,
Yeah.
and I got all the respect in the world for any of those guys.
Well, when you watch a guy go in the corner and throw it in there on the cushion, front tires come off the ground, kicks him out.
Yeah.
He gets back underneath, gets the car back under him, and then comes right back into that corner, and you're like, how does,
Yeah.
and they just romp it, just stand
Well,
on it.
they're driving more with the throttle than the
and just
wheels for
yeah,
sure.
oh yeah, it's crazy though. I mean, but that's the entertainment. That's
Yeah,
why there's so many people
And I love
sitting in
watching
them
them.
stands.
I'm not one of these guys that quit racing and like
I'm not going
can't
to the
stand to
track.
go because
Yeah.
if I go, I'll have to buy one.
I'll
I
give
assure
that to
you, I
you.
don't have to buy one.
Right.
I don't have to buy one. It's
Yeah.
not a problem.
I agree.
I
mean,
love to go watch. I've always loved to go watch. When
Mhm.
I was racing, I could go watch other people. I
Yeah.
still,
See,
and
I'm the
Kenny now,
opposite.
me
I
and
struggle
Kenny
with
were
it.
all about going to watch. And I know I could mention Brad Cummings because
Yep.
when he quits, he can't be around it.
That's how I am.
He can't be around it.
Yeah.
I can. It doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It's tough because the whole time you're sitting there, you're like, I should be out there.
Well, I get hints of that.
Yeah.
I feel like I would like to do it, but I also know
Start
damn
thinking
well
about all the work.
Oh, the work, the
financial.
money, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know,
I could just sit
I
here and
mowed
eat
the
a
grass
coney
today.
dog.
I didn't have to get up and work all day and sweat my butt off. And
Right. And
I'm done with it.
You get done, nobody's upset.
Now, with that being said, if I hit the lottery, I will have, you know,
Yeah.
if I can pay you to
Yeah,
take care of my
the
car, and all I do is,
right?
I'll be back.
Yeah.
So
there you
just
go.
watch for that.
All right. So we need to go buy some lottery tickets.
I've got them.
Well, you know, it's always good to get guys' stories, and yours is a little bit, you know, more unique, being the fact that you've lettered all these guys' cars over the years.
I feel fortunate that
I mean,
not only did I get to participate in the sport, but I didn't get rich, but I got to make my living involved in a sport that I absolutely love.
Right.
And I've always loved it, and I always will love it.
Yep.
I'm fortunate.
Yeah, and just to look back over the years of how many people you've met and come in contact with and made friends out of it, it's unreal.
Countless friends.
Yeah.
I still to this day, and I feel bad because I've met so many people.
Yeah.
That
Someone
I get
will holler
people
at
all
ya.
the time coming up to me and
Hey, Trent, what's up?
Yeah, man. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
Right.
may not remember you. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't remember everyone.
Right. I'm the same
don't
way. It's
remember
tough to always keep names and faces, but you know, as far as dirt track, I mean, your name has been on so many race cars, so many shirts.
I wish
so
I didn't have
shirt
many. I
designs.
wish I didn't have many shirts, but I have no clue.
Yeah.
Countless.
Oh, yeah, that'd
So
be
many.
cool. That would be.
I wish I had
number
$1
now.
for every shirt ever printed that I
Right.
designed. I know that.
Yeah.
I probably would have a race car then.
Yeah. It's been a bunch.
Oh,
that's
my.
for sure.
And I've met friends. I mean, I've met friends as far away as Australia.
Right.
My friend Wayne Meyer, hopefully he'll see this. I'm sure he probably will.
Yeah.
But he's a good buddy of mine from Australia, and due to this Corona,
Yeah.
he's not going to be coming to Knoxville this year. But usually I get to see him at least once a
see.
year, and
Yeah.
he knows your family as
Yeah.
well. But
Now, how'd you guys meet?
I started doing work for Indie Screen Print,
Yeah.
and he was a customer of theirs and affiliated with them. He came over here every year.
Yeah.
And I started doing artwork for him in the wintertime. He's in Australia, and I'll email it over there, and they print it
That's
in
cool.
Australia. But
Yeah.
he has a
A lot of good people.
Speedway
over
Star,
there.
which is a print company over there in Australia.
Okay.
But good dude.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been very fortunate and blessed to have a lot of good Aussies that are, you know, some of them probably more like family than, you know, they're just good people. I mean, at least I've been fortunate enough. All the ones I've met have been great people.
Me too.
And
I mean, almost everybody I've met in racing is a good dude.
yeah,
You know,
true.
I can't even sit here and say there's a few that weren't, because I don't know who I would name.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You have your run-ins, you have your ins and
Yeah,
outs.
everybody
over the
gets
years,
over it.
but
Yeah.
We're all family because we're all racers. You know?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And, you know, it's, I'm sitting there trying to think, you know, with everything that's going on right now, you guys probably haven't really been able to go
It has not been good.
sell a whole lot of shirts.
None.
So, if anybody actually wanted to get a hold of you for a shirt design,
we've
did they
stayed.
contact?
I've been lucky on this too.
Mhm.
You know, I work for a good company, Indie Screen Print.
Yep.
And they kept us going to keep paychecks rolling, but it's
Right.
not what it's not even a percentage of what we should be right now.
Yeah.
You know, because
Right.
we do driver shirts, but that's basically wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to events and sell shirts
Right.
for full price, that's where we really make money. And
Right.
When there's no events, and now they're having events with no fans, still
Yeah.
can't sell no
It's
shirts
not
like
working
that.
out.
So
Yeah.
we just hope we make it through this. And
Hopefully-
get back to the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Real soon.
We sure hope.
So if anybody wanted to get a shirt design or any kind of work done, get a hold of Indie Screen Print, right?
Yeah, they can get a hold of
They-
me
they
on
can contact
Facebook.
you?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, the Indie Screen Print.
I know I always
on
do,
Facebook too.
but-
A lot of people do. I don't really deal with the ordering and the pricing, and
Right.
but I'll get your information and I'll pass it on to who needs it.
There
and
you go.
I'll talk to you when it's time to do the artwork. Or
Right.
whatever, but
Just look you up on Facebook,
yeah,
right?
that's fine. Yep.
Well, I know most anybody in around the racing knows how to get a hold of you for it.
Pretty
but,
much.
You never know who's
Pretty
out there
much.
watching
Yeah.
and listening, and you never know. But well, man, I don't know. You got any good stories, anything else that you'd like to talk about before we wrap things up?
I'm sure we'd sit here for a couple more hours.
Yeah,
but,
it's easy to do.
yeah.
You start talking racing.
If we had your sidekick, the miniature Ed McMahon, Edgar,
yeah, right, Edgar.
I'm sure we could get some more stories going.
Yeah,
but,
hopefully he's doing something right now.
He's getting paid. Edgar, get to work.
Yeah. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps up this episode.
Yeah, I don't guess there's anything that I feel like I need to say. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it, man. It's something I've been, back whenever we first started doing these, I made out a list of names and kind of said, well, I'm sure I can get this many people in here over the next few weeks, and a few weeks turned into a few months, and we're rolling strong. Man. And
I think you ought to get Papaw back in here because I really enjoyed his, and I'm sure he's got another 2 or 3 hours of story.
We could do at least 8 episodes with him, but yeah, it would definitely be nice to get another briefing from him. Hard telling what else would come of it.
Yeah. Or maybe how about a old guys round table?
I'm wanting to get guys.
Talk about Jim Curry. We get all them guys around
Steve
one table
Barnett,
and see what happens.
Right? That'd be cool. I want to get some of these other guys and here's the story. But well, I guess this wraps up this episode. Man. We appreciate you coming in again. And if you have not already liked us, give us a like on Facebook. You can check us out at bluechiptech.net. Be sure and tune in next Wednesday night for another show. And we appreciate everybody viewing. If there's anything we can do for you guys, give us a call at 812-807-7050. Have a great evening.